We live in a world that screams, share everything. We are told to broadcast our every meal, our every vacation, our every minor success. And in this culture of oversharing, we've been led to believe that we must also broadcast our pain. We feel this immense pressure to lay our problems bare on the table of public opinion, seeking validation, sympathy, or a quick fix from those around us. But I am here to tell you today, stop. There is a better way. There is a profound, ancient wisdom in the directive, don't tell people your problems, tell Allah. The impulse to share our burdens is a deeply human one, woven into the very fabric of our social nature. When pain strikes, when anxiety tightens its grip around our chest, our first instinct is often to look for a witness, for a comforting voice, for someone who can say, I see your pain, and you are not alone. This longing for connection is not a flaw, it is a testament to our need for community. Yet, it is here in this vulnerable and well-intentioned space that we often make a critical error. We confuse the courtroom of people with the sanctuary of the divine, and in doing so, we exchange a potential for profound healing for a handful of hollow consolations. When you bring your problem to a person, any person, you are inherently stepping into a courtroom. You are presenting your case before a judge and jury who are, by their very nature, imperfect, limited, and subjective. They bring to your case their own biases, their own unhealed wounds, their own busy lives and preoccupations. The response you receive is rarely a pure reflection of your need. It is a refraction filtered through the lens of their own humanity. You might receive pity, which, while often meant kindly, is a subtle poison. Pity does not empower, it diminishes. It positions you as a victim of circumstances, reinforcing the very powerlessness you are seeking to escape. It whispers that you are too weak to handle your own life, and in accepting that pity, you subconsciously agree. Alternatively, you might receive a torrent of unsolicited advice. This is the jury's attempt to solve the case quickly and return to their own affairs. Each piece of advice, though perhaps well-meaning, is a projection of how they would handle a situation they do not fully understand with a soul that is not your own. You should just do this, or if I were you, I would do that. This cacophony of external solutions does not bring clarity, it brings confusion. It drowns out the quiet, intuitive voice within you, the very voice that might be guiding you toward your unique path of resilience. You leave the conversation not with a solution, but with a dozen new potential paths, each one leading you further away from your own inner truth. Then there is the risk of judgment, the most painful verdict of this human court. In your raw vulnerability, you have exposed a part of yourself that is not yet healed, and you may find it met with a critical eye or a dismissive word. A problem that feels world-shattering might be minimized by someone who cannot feel its weight. Is that all? Or you think that's bad. This judgment does not just fail to help, it actively adds a second layer of pain to the original wound. Now, you are not only hurting from the problem itself, but you are also hurting from the shame of having shared it. And perhaps the most common and insidious outcome is that your sacred story, the intimate narrative of your struggle, becomes casual currency in the economy of gossip. You entrusted someone with a piece of your heart, and you cannot control what they do with it. Your private pain becomes a topic of conversation over coffee, a piece of news to be exchanged. The sanctity of your suffering is violated, and you are left feeling exposed, betrayed, and foolish for having trusted in the first place. In the courtroom of people, you are a plaintiff who often leaves more wounded than when you entered. Now, contrast this with the act of turning to Allah. This is not a transaction. It is a transformation. It is not a courtroom, but a sanctuary, a place of absolute safety, unconditional love, and limitless power. When you tell Allah your problems, you are not informing Him of something He does not know. You are engaging in a divine communion, a spiritual practice that alters your very relationship with the burden itself. In this sanctuary, there is no need for elaborate explanations or self-justification. You can come with your pain in its raw, unedited form, the inarticulate cries, the messy tears, the silent despair. Allah knows the pain that lies too deep for words. He understands the secret history of your heart, the unspoken fears that you haven't even admitted to yourself. There is no risk of being misunderstood because He is the all-hearing, the all-seeing, the all-knowing. You can lay down the exhausting performance of holding yourself together and simply be broken, needy, and utterly accepted. Here, you are met not with pity, but with a compassionate mercy that actively seeks to uplift you. This is Rahmah, a mercy that encompasses, nurtures, and strengthens. It does not diminish you, it dignifies you. It confirms that your struggle has meaning and that you, in your state of need, are inherently worthy of divine attention and care. This mercy wraps around your heart not as a consolation prize, but as a source of power, infusing you with a patience and fortitude you did not know you possessed. Furthermore, in this sanctuary, you are not given a list of quick fix advice from a limited human perspective. Instead, you are in the presence of the one who holds the entire universe in his command, the one who says, "Be and it is." When you place your problem before this absolute power, the problem itself begins to shrink in proportion. You are no longer a powerless individual facing an insurmountable obstacle. You are a beloved servant of the Almighty who has chosen to take this difficulty to the only source capable of truly resolving it. This connection does not always instantly remove the problem, but it instantly changes your capacity to bear it. It opens doors you could not see, softens hearts you thought were hardened, and inspires solutions that no human mind could have concocted. The choice, then, is not between suffering in silence and seeking help. The choice is about where you go for your primary, foundational support. Do you first run to the fleeting, fallible court of people, or do you first retreat to the eternal, infallible sanctuary of your Lord? By making Allah your first resort, you protect your spiritual and emotional energy. You ensure that your most vulnerable self is handled with the utmost care. You receive the strength and clarity first, and then, if you choose to seek human counsel, you do so from a place of empowered stability, not desperate need. You are no longer a beggar seeking crumbs of sympathy. You are a sovereign soul, guided by divine light, seeking practical wisdom from a fellow traveler. This is the profound, life-altering wisdom of taking your problems not to the people, but to Allah. Imagine your inner world, your heart, your mind, your spirit, as a sacred, fertile garden. This is the place where your peace grows, where your resilience takes root, and where the quiet, intuitive voice of your soul can be heard. It is a private, delicate ecosystem, sensitive to the elements it is exposed to. Every problem, every worry, every burden you carry is like a seed, where you choose to plant that seed, and who you allow to tend that soil will determine everything about what grows from it. The wisdom of not telling people your problems is, at its core, an act of profound stewardship over this inner garden. It is the conscious decision to protect its sacred soil from the harsh elements of the outside world, so that what grows within is strength, not bitterness, clarity, not confusion, and a peace that is truly your own. When a difficulty arises, the initial shock and pain can feel overwhelming. In this state, we are often like a gardener in a panic, rushing to the nearest person and handing them our unplanted seeds, our raw, unprocessed struggles. We say, "Look what has happened to me," and we open our garden gate wide, inviting them in. But we cannot control what they bring with them. Some visitors, however well-meaning, tread carelessly. They might offer a word of pity that is like a drop of acid on the soil, stunting the growth of your own strength. They might offer advice that is like an invasive species, a foreign plant that does not belong in your unique ecosystem, and which will choke out the native flora of your intuition. Others might bring the storm of their own drama and opinions, casting a shadow over your garden with their clouds of negativity. And some, in the carelessness of gossip, might even scatter your seeds in other unwelcoming gardens, leaving you feeling violated and exposed. Each of these interactions, each time we outsource the tending of our inner world, we lose a little more of our vital energy. Emotional and spiritual energy is not an infinite resource. It is the very sunlight and water that nourishes our being. When we constantly explain, justify, and relive our pain for an audience, we are essentially diverting this precious energy outward. We are powering the court of public opinion instead of nurturing our own sanctuary. The mental rehearsal of how we will phrase our problem, the anxiety over how it will be received, the exhaustion of managing others' reactions. This is all energy that is siphoned away from the internal work of healing and finding a solution. We are left feeling drained, hollowed out, and further than ever from the quiet center where true resilience resides. This is not about building walls of pride or isolating oneself in a fortress of silence. It is about understanding the difference between a fortress and a sanctuary. A fortress is built on fear, designed to keep things out. A sanctuary is built on reverence, designed to nurture what is within. Protecting your energy is a sacred act of reverence for your own soul. It is the conscious choice to say, this pain of mine is holy ground. I will not let just anyone trample upon it. I will not let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of guidance that is meant for me alone. This is where the practice of taking your problems to Allah becomes the ultimate act of self-preservation. When you turn to the divine, you are not simply venting or dumping your troubles. You are performing a sacred act of transplantation. You are taking that raw, painful seed of your problem and you are planting it in the most fertile, the most protected, the most nourishing soil imaginable, the soil of divine mercy and absolute power. In this soil, the seed is safe. It is not exposed to the harsh winds of human judgment or the frost of gossip. It is watered with the rain of compassion and warmed by the sun of certainty. The act of prayer, of sincere dua, of prostration in the dark of night is the ultimate energy conserving and energy generating practice. In that private communion, you are not losing energy, you are receiving it. You are plugging your soul into the ultimate source. The energy you would have spent on crafting a story for a human audience is now spent in raw, honest communication with your Creator. The relief you feel is not just psychological, it is spiritual. It is the feeling of a burden being lifted not by a pair of weak human hands, but by the hand that holds the heavens and the earth. You rise from that prayer not having been drained by the act of sharing, but replenished. The problem may not have vanished, but your capacity to handle it has been magnified. Your inner garden has been watered from a well that never runs dry. By making this your primary response, you change the entire ecosystem of your life. You begin to operate from a place of inner abundance, not desperate scarcity. Your peace is no longer contingent on the fickle responses of people. It becomes rooted in something unshakable. You become the guardian of your own story, the tender of your own soul. You learn that some seeds of struggle are meant to be nurtured in the quiet, dark soil of privacy, where they can break open and transform into something strong and beautiful, seen only by you and your Lord. This is the profound empowerment that comes from protecting your spiritual and emotional energy. It is the decision to stop letting the world define your pain and to instead allow the divine to transform it.